Yep, gaming phones are still a thing, and I'm here for it, as always. If you haven't followed my mobile gaming content before, you know I'm a big proponent for gaming on the go. The reason being, the smartphones in our pockets are now so powerful that they can do gaming of all kinds. You could do game streaming, of course, you can play current top mobile titles, and of course, get into retro gaming. So with this latest release by REDMAGIC, I wanted to show some of that off in this video. So it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? This is the super cool, super powerful, and super fun REDMAGIC 7. I'm going to be showing off quite a few games in this video, so if you see one that you like, let me know by hitting the like button. Subscribe to my channel for further content on gaming, on a phone like this or otherwise, and tell me what you're playing right now in the comments down below. I know, gaming aesthetics tend to be a little bit too in your face, and usually they are the very opposite of subtle, but if that's your jam, the REDMAGIC 7 is one hell of a looker. We have a nice large screen here to enjoy all kinds of content, and this screen dictates the overall size of the phone, but it's really the back where all of the cool gamer details really shine. Quite literally, because there's a bit of RGB at play here when you are at play. But before we get to that, let's take a look at how the phone is clearly not shy about wearing its capabilities on its sleeve. At least on the back of this black and red edition here, you can see the different specs plastered on the shiny exterior. Down here we have the 165Hz refresh rate, the all-important Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 is prominently displayed, you have the specs of the actual built-in fan, and of course the fact that this still has a 64 megapixel camera. Maybe for those times when you actually look up from your game for once and realize you should take a picture of the food that you're letting get cold before you eat it. I just mentioned the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, but this is also backed by 18 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of onboard storage, with a 4500 mAh battery trying to keep all of this running for a long time. At least you can charge it up quickly using the 65-watt fast charging, as the cable and the brick are included in the box. True to the spirit of a gaming device, the REDMAGIC 7 is all about power. Qualcomm has been on a real kick of providing the best mobile gaming experiences, and the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 is the current culmination of all of that. With plenty of phones coming out now sporting this processor, I felt more confident than ever that I could get various forms of gaming done. Anything I feel like I could do on a smartphone, I have been able to do on this smartphone. And I actually find the REDMAGIC 7 is arriving at the perfect time, because I've actually been eyeing some of those portable emulation machines that have been making the rounds on crowdsourcing websites. For the most part, items like the Ain Odin or Android-powered products that can do much of what I'm going to talk about in this video, but they tend to not have the latest processors and they're not full-on smartphones, which just means that something like the REDMAGIC 7 just has greatly extended use cases. It's not like the REDMAGIC 7 can't become a dedicated gaming machine itself. You probably know where I'm going with this. Flip this switch in the corner and all of the smartphone stuff just takes a back seat, as the REDMAGIC 7 dumps the RAM, fires up the fan, and the RGB starts shining. Yep, you can see it there, the fan is lined with RGB colors and it's just so cool. And cool is the operative word because the fan is keeping the processor from running too hot during intense gaming sessions. You can even feel the tiny breeze coming from the various vents that are around that fan. Of course you can hear it as well. Now this game space provides an easy launcher for all of the things that you might have installed, as well as access to the different gaming forward options. There are a bunch of things that you can do in the gaming layer, things like setting up the shoulder triggers or activating the various plugins that could give you an edge if they prove helpful in your particular game. Within games, access to many of these things are also available by swiping from the sides to reveal quick access areas. This is where you can adjust the performance mode, see how much of your resources are being used, you can suppress notifications, and even access small pop-up versions of key applications if you do need them. I mean, sure, there might be some translation issues here and there, and maybe the overall interface needs a little bit of polish, but all of that is basically just in the background when you're just enjoying yourself in whatever game you're playing. Clearly this phone is powerful and robust, so let's go ahead and get gaming. I'm going to go through a few different types of games, touchscreen forward games to show what you can do on this phone just on its own, and then I'll go ahead and connect a controller on here so you can see what that might be like, and you can see the various types of games you can actually enjoy on something like a REDMAGIC 7. So like I said, I'm starting off with touchscreen games so that we get a feel for what you can do just with the phone by itself. One thing you'll notice right off the bat is there's no notch, no nothing cutting into your game. Sure, that means that there might be a little more bezel on the sides when in landscape, but that could also be helpful because there's a little bit more room for your thumbs and palms to not accidentally press anything. Another thing you'll probably notice is that I have the screen set to the max 165 Hz rate, even if it won't necessarily get that high in most games. You'll see that be the case because I also have the performance monitor turned on and I have the FPS count right there. Now, Pokemon Unite is not the most intensive game out there, but it is one of the most popular. I tend to jump back and forth between this and Wild Rift because while Wild Rift might be a bit more technical, a bit more robust, Pokemon Unite is just a more casual time. I still get plenty frustrated during games, don't get me wrong, but at least those games are fairly quick and come on, it's Pokemon, so it's a little bit harder to get truly enraged. Another game I've been playing a lot since its release is the Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster. I have a lot of games that I have played, know a lot about, but have never finished, and FF6 is one of them. With the Pixel Remaster though, I think I'm on the road to finally completing what is considered one of the most beloved JRPGs of all time. Again, it's not an intensive game, but it is both a recent release and a retro game, so I wanted to use it to illustrate how mobile gaming can mean multiple things to anybody. It's also featured in this section because it doesn't have controller support yet. While I'm not the biggest fan of how it handles battles, I'm generally a big fan of how the Pixel Remaster streamlines aspects like grinding and attack inputs. Here's one I haven't played in a long time, Call of Duty Mobile. Of course, one of the main features of a gaming phone like this is its extra inputs. The shoulder triggers are obvious for shooter games like PUBG Mobile and this one, Call of Duty. I haven't played this one in a while, like I said, so please excuse my terrible gameplay. One of the reasons why I stopped playing mobile shooters is actually because I moved on from last year's gaming phones. Seriously, triggers on the shoulder, whatever you might call them, just make things a bit easier, a bit more fun. Now mind you, I don't think they're necessarily game changers, nor do I think they give you that much of an edge, but I'm sure anyone from casual to competitive gamers can appreciate them.
Enemy in sight. Targets in sight. Enemy contact. Cover me.
Of course, we have to include one of the juggernauts of mobile gaming, Genshin Impact. This is obviously in this section of touchscreen forward games because for whatever reason, MiHoYo just can't put controller support on Android, and honestly, it kinda hurts. Genshin Impact is consistently one of the most demanding games in the mobile space, taking up over a dozen gigabytes of the storage and typically struggling to keep peak frame rate on many high-end phones. I mean, Genshin doesn't even go beyond 60 FPS anyway, and even some of the top-tier phones still struggle with it. Not with the REDMAGIC 7 though. The fan and the specific performance tuning really make a difference, making the case that while mobile gaming can be done on any device, it's the gaming phones that are actually optimized for high performance.
By royal decree.
Okay, for the following games, I'm going to get into more controller-supported games because sometimes you just need those extra inputs, a little bit more tactility, and to stop covering up the action with your own fingers. Lately, I've been a big fan of this right here, the GameSir X2, but this one is the recently released fully Bluetooth version. Now, there are versions of this controller that have USB-C or Lightning inputs, but I like the Bluetooth one because it can connect to pretty much anything, including, let's say, computers, if I wanted to use this as a PC controller. Also, as you can see here, the REDMAGIC 7 is just about the biggest phone that I've ever had in the grip of the GameSir X2, and it's definitely hitting the limit without the case. If you are interested in this controller, you can hit my affiliate link that is found in the description below, and in doing so, you're actually helping my channel out as well. Okay, another example of a game that I have yet to actually finish is Final Fantasy IX, and I'm sure quite a few of you out there are just sick of seeing me always in the same part of the game in these videos. But while every mobile version of the Pixel remasters don't have controller support, Final Fantasy IX has had it this entire time, and it's a gem of a mobile game, to be honest. It's also one of those games you can always expect to push the smartphone to its limits, but the REDMAGIC 7 is obviously handling it pretty beautifully. Let's continue into the classic realm and fire up GTA Vice City. Now, I know that San Andreas is also in the Play Store, but I've actually never played Vice City much at all. It's interesting because maxing out the graphics settings like this, visual effects to max, screen resolution to max, it kind of does make everything look a little bit odd because the blocky art style just looks a little bit too sharp on a screen like this, but still, it's a really great time. Alright, you know me, I had to get a Mega Man game in here, and this is Mega Man X Dive. This is a game I used to show off in these videos by downloading it off of the official Asia website, but finally, not too long ago, it was added to the Google Play Store. It is a touchscreen forward game first, and it does a pretty good job of giving you some nice controls for this type of gameplay, but you can also use a controller too, and I think it's a better time with a controller. Again, it's not a super intensive game, but it's a fun time, and if you're a Mega Man fan, it's a great way of engaging with the characters that you might remember. Okay, now we get to some new aspects that I've been kind of injecting into my smartphones. Emulation. With the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, I feel like this is definitely the time to get into revisiting any of these games from days past. And to my surprise, PS2 emulation has been improving, and is now actually pretty consistently good. I wanted to be a little bit obscure with what I showed via the Aether SX2 emulator. While Mega Man X Command Mission is in my folder there, I had to fire up a total classic, Shadow Heart's Covenant. The Judgment Ring during turn-based battles is still as punishing as it's ever been. And it wouldn't be an emulation section without some Dolphin GameCube games, and here we have Metroid Prime once again. Other games that I've tried out here are working well too, like Wind Waker and Skies of Arcadia, but considering the layer of control that the GameSir X2 provides, I just went ahead and did Metroid Prime for this video. And finally, some looks at game streaming. While doing something like Xbox game streaming is not measured by the usual performance metrics, it's still fun to do on a gaming phone like this because the screen is big, beautiful, and connectivity is a priority for these types of smartphones. Actual performance will vary based on internet connection, of course, but Forza Horizon is a fast-paced game where some progression could get stunted by an internet disconnection. So generally for game streaming like this, I go for more casual, slower paced games like Yakuza Like a Dragon. And of course, game streaming can just be streaming from your actual console or PC straight to your mobile device with like PS Remote Play or Steam Link. Those are all things that are available as well, and they will vary in terms of performance based upon your internet connection and Wi-Fi, where you have both the phone and the console connected and streaming to one another. And so there you have it, having fun on a powerful gaming phone in the REDMAGIC 7. In many of the games and clips that you've just seen, you also got to see how a large display like this does a great job of bringing the mobile gaming to life, and you probably heard in a few clips that the speakers on this thing are pretty good as well. REDMAGIC have their own peripherals that you can add to the experience, but even then there are controllers like the GameSir X2 that just pair nicely with what is already one of the most complete, high-performing packages in Android today. Are you playing any of the games that I featured in this video? Are there ones that you kind of forgot about or never even heard of? Let me know in the comments. Sound off by hitting the like button and subscribe to my channel for more on smartphones and gaming phones like this. With all that said, I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and enjoy your tea, everybody.